Hi, it's James here today. And today, I just want to reflect back on a job I had at Boblo Island. If you're from Detroit or Windsor, Ontario, Canada, you've heard about Boblo Island. And I worked there when I was probably 15 or 16 years old. And it was an awesome job. I was a ride operator. I ran the corkscrew, the nightmare, and the bumper cars. Bumper cars were easy. You just had to make sure you measured the children's height to get in the bumper cars. And I got, free hamburgers, free French fries all day long. The curly fries were awesome. Fuck. As long as they had extra, you didn't have to worry about bringing a lunch. It was a little bit of drive for me because I was a little far away. But plus, in the morning, you got to get on the boat. You got to wait for the boat. And it was another half hour. But the job, I wish they would never closed it because I would have never quit. And when I worked there, and they had a lot of stuff, the Americans would come over. They had the American boat that came over and a Canadian boat that came over, and it was always jam packed. I don't know how they lost money. Like the shit, Windsor needs to have something like that, like something for our children to go, close. We don't have much. Marineland's closing. That's like 4 hours away. Cedar Point's 4 hours away. And it was the perfect location, to have amusement park. And when I was there and the jobs I did as a ride operator, it was fun. I met a lot of people. And one day, I ran the one thing called the log ride. And it was really hot because the log went up this huge hill, and you had to have somebody on top of the huge hill before they ejected down the hill into the pond. And you had to make sure they had their seatbelts on and sit in the top of the hill in the beating sun. And I loved it because all the women, they're all wearing bikinis because they knew they were getting wet. I said, I'll do that every day. But it was a good job, nothing strenuous, just watching, and I didn't have no lifeguard certificate or CPR or nothing. If the log would have went down, I'd be like, oh shit, fuck. But anyways, it was a job. But one of the funny part of my story of working there, because they had a boating dock for Canadians and Americans, and a lot of people from the States brought their boats there. So I was working, I think it was the corkscrew, and there's these three American broads in the corkscrew, and they came on their father's boat, and their father apparently was not on the boat. And they're like, what time do you get off? I'm like, 4 o'clock. That's when I'm done. And they're like, you want to come in their boat and have a beer? I'm like, I'll be there at 4:01. And shit, they're all in bikinis and stuff on their big ass fucking floating fucking mansion boat. and I went. And I ended up getting one of the girls' numbers from the Michigans and met up with her later. But it was fucking cool though. Anyways, just a story about Boblo Island. I really love working there. I wish, they shouldn't have sold it to all these millionaires that just build houses on there. They should have kept it alive. Like, fuck. We had, $3 billion to build a bridge we didn't need? Well, fuck. What do you want our kids to do? Just sit at home and stare at YouTube all day? Well, that's what I do, but I'm an adult and I'm old. Anyways, James out.